Hi, beautiful people. Welcome to Conscious Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Shivani, and this is the place where we talk about spirituality, mindfulness, mindset, and manifestation. Today, I have a very special guest to take us through the process of creating and cultivating a success mindset. Kimberley Wenya is a manifestation coach who teaches women how to create their dream life by strategic design. Kimberly, I am so happy to see you here. Thanks for doing this with me.
Of course. Thank you for having me, Shivani.
Yes, so as when I was deciding to probably think about what should we talk about, I was going through these series of podcasts and interviews that you've done, and one thing which came up was like how so many people have been asking you about your success mindset because you are known for having been a six-figure business owner at such a young age, I guess right when you were in college?
Yeah, so when I was in my third year of university, that's when I began the business, and I worked very hard, and yes, it did become a six-figure business that year.
Yeah, and that's so amazing,
Thank
especially
you.
considering that it was a spiritual business, right? It was not something which was mainstream or which was about just going and selling something, right? It
Yes,
was mostly.
definitely. It was something new because it was making manifestation modern and very easy for us modern girls to really just get into it and integrate it into our lives to create our dream lives.
Exactly, and that's what I absolutely love about you. And even for me, I have been watching you since 3 years almost. And
Wow.
yeah, almost. I mean, I started watching you through Erin, and
Yes.
since then, so I have been kind of like really watching you grow since that time. And it's so inspirational, honestly, because you know what I loved about you? Because when I started my business, for me, there were apprehensions about spirituality being too woo woo, and then I saw you doing it in the most non-traditional way and really for the modern goals. And I was like, okay, I'm allowed to have a spiritual business and yet be who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was really empowering for me. And I
Yeah.
would really count it, because we're talking about success mindset, I feel that is also a part of success mindset, to kind of like know that there are options to
Yes.
live your life the way you want to live, right?
Yes.
So yeah, that's where I want to begin with your story. How did you, like, since you were so young, like straight out of college, you were already running a business, where do you think you kind of cultivated the success mindset in terms of also integrating it in manifestation, spirituality? How did you actually come about to integrate those two things, like having a successful business and having your spirituality work for you together?
Yes. So the first thing is I always find a way. So I always am open, and instead of saying like this isn't possible, which is what majority of people say, I say, how is it possible? So if I have an idea, if I'm like, okay, I want to combine spirituality, mindset, money mindset, manifestation, all into one, all in a modern girl and contemporary context, how can I do it rather than it doesn't exist just yet? Because somebody who is not necessarily in a success mindset would look at this combination and be like, okay, no, that doesn't exist, it's not possible. But somebody who has a success mindset knows that there's always a way for it to work. So when I realized that this was something that was missing in the market, I was like, okay, I'm going to make this happen, but how can I make this happen? And so it was actually about understanding, like, and first putting on a hat on my mindset, which is to ask myself, there is a way, I just need to find it, so let's start this journey. So that's how it all started. I never take no for an answer. I'm always like, no, there is a way.
And that's so amazing. I know, totally out of context, but what is your sun sign?
Yeah, so my sun sign is a Libra.
Okay, that's amazing. You sounded so much like a water sign, so I had to like ask it. But yeah, Libras are such amazing inspirational leaders, I've seen most of the times.
Thank you.
So yes, continuing from there, you were like, you do not take no for an answer, and you were like, this is what I want to do, and so I am
Mm-hmm.
going to go ahead with this. How did you actually cultivated that business, like were you always into manifestation spirituality and then you went on to create it as a business, or was it like in the process when you kind of like gelled so much well with the whole concept of spirituality and manifestation? Like how did you actually bring those two together?
It was more the second thing that you mentioned. So I had actually started KW, Kimberley Wenya, my business, with health and fitness in mind. So I love all that stuff. I still to this day do, but I started off with talking about like how to eat well and how to exercise and all that sort of thing. And then I realized that my passion was more mindset. And then I realized my passion was more manifestation. And so it really evolved that way. So it was more like because I knew that I wanted to do something that would make me my own boss, but I just didn't know how. So all I did was just follow what felt good at the time. So it started off with a health blog, then it turned into a business, and then it turned into etc. So it just started off with me realizing that if I want to be successful, I just have to take one step at a time. I may not know all the answers now, but I just have to put one foot forward. And so that's why I started it without really knowing exactly what I was going to do. And then I just kept on tweaking it until it is what it is. And I continue to tweak it.
Yeah, and I think that's something which is so important, which I think people, when they start their businesses after a while, don't recognize that we need to continue tweaking it because we are evolving and our mindset is evolving,
Yes.
right? So, what do you think is the measure of success? Like you went on there right when you started it, hitting the six-figure mark. So now it's been like, I think 4 years since then.
No, actually, it's just been over 2 years. Wait, 2018, beginning of 2018. So just over 2 years now.
Okay. Okay. That's incredible.
Yes, it's
Honestly, a
been
growth.
so
You
fast.
definitely took a quantum leap.
Yes, exactly. And that's why I'm so passionate about teaching this, because you can have incredible results when you really understand how the universe works. Like,
Yes.
absolutely. So, wait, I was going to answer your question. What was your question again?
Yeah. So my question was like, how do you go about measuring your success
I love this
in the
question.
new age?
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
I love this because you cannot just measure success based on monetary values. We
Yes.
need to understand that success is in so many forms, but a lot of people just tend to only measure it through money. You can have success through feeling more aligned with your business. That's a form of success. A form of success might be, monetary. That's easy. A form of success might be the impact, how many people you're affecting. It might be the fact of how you're helping one person. So how I measure success nowadays is a combination of everything. I look at how much money I'm making. I'm looking at how much fun I'm having, how aligned I am with the business, how excited I am, how inspired I am, how connected I feel with my clients, how much results my clients are getting, and then the money. Like, wait, did I already mention money? I think so. But
Yeah, you did.
I gotta say that you can't just measure success on money, because I've had months where I've had such a successful month, like multiple five figures, and then I just don't feel as fulfilled as other months where I've had lower months but feel so much more aligned. So, and you can't just focus on the money. You've got to focus on the impact that you're having. The more that I have focused on the impact that I'm having and just giving from a heart of service and out of love, the higher my income has been. So it's really about focusing on your impact rather than the money all the time.
Yeah, and that is why I added that word in this new age, because we all know
Mm,
we are transitioning into the age of Aquarius,
mm-hmm,
and not to just go to spiritual here, but just to add to it. Adding to that is that how we are definitely not gonna work how we have worked all this while, working with that old success mindset of just chasing, and just using monetary measure as a measure for success,
mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
So
Definitely.
yeah, now that we're talking about the new age, how do you balance this successful mindset or the successful life or your successful business with a mindful and a spiritual lifestyle? And that is definitely a question straight from my heart, from someone who is in her first year of building a business. And
Mm,
I am spiritual, I am mindful, and then I have like of course, I try to make most of my actions aligned, because I've seen the more I take time to rest and meditate and take care of my spiritual body, it obviously reflects in my external reality. But how do you, after a point, I saw you doing a post after a while, why I'm choosing to hustle this year.
Yes.
What do you have to say about really hustling in a mindful spiritual business?
Yeah. So a lot of spiritual teachers say that it's all about flow and it's all about, leaning back. But to me, I fully am for the mindset that it's about both. There are times where you're going to feel called to hustle, and there are times where you're going to feel called to lean back and just receive. So ultimately, the reason why I've decided to hustle more is because for me, it feels like a season of that, but also because I feel like not enough people who are teaching manifestation emphasize on action. Action is a key part of manifestation. And if you do not take enough of that, you're not going to get to where you want to be. So I have had clients in the past come to me and they say, Kimberley, I'm not getting the results that I want. And then I say to them, what are you doing? And they're like, okay, well, I've posted on Instagram once. I did an Instagram story. And I'm like, okay. You need to do so much more action than that. You cannot just think that a couple of things are going to give you the results that you want. So the thing is that when you want something, you need to do the work, you need to take action and combine that with the strategies of becoming an energetic match, using your emotions to manifest and attract your desires and be a magnet for your goals. So the way that I balance is that I take the action that I need to. I will always only do things that feel aligned for me, and I always do things that move the needle forward. So I always ask myself, what's the top 5 things that are going to move me forward today, so that I can create the life that I want? And I focus on those things until they're actually done. And then I will also give myself time to just relax, play Animal Crossing, watch Netflix, and it becomes that balance. I also have my non-negotiables where I do meditation and journaling. And so that also keeps me connected to myself, connected to the universe, and all those things.
Yeah, and that's what I think. To sum it up in one word, it's all about aligned actions, which come from spiritual practices, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, yeah, and I loved how it is so important to take actions. But I also feel like when you actually work on your mindset, it's because I have been really seeing it reflect into my reality. When I work in my mindset, how easier it becomes to actually take actions. Of course, it doesn't mean that we don't have these limiting mindset of fears, blocks calling us. So, what do you have to say to someone who might say that, like, how do we differentiate between that voice, which is, okay, do the action right now, this is the time to take action, it's an aligned action, or that place where you are like, uh, you should probably relax right now, because I'm definitely the one who sometimes feel like I work so much because I love what I'm doing. And it's just like sometimes I don't realize that I have exhausted myself to that place. So how do you create that distinction, that balance between listening to your voice and listening to uh, that I mean, sneaky hustle, if that's the word?
I think that you got to make sure that you also know that when you're so aligned with your passion and your vision, that it's going to be exactly how you said, Shivani. Like, it doesn't even feel, you don't even realize it. Like, you're so
Yeah.
energized that you keep on working. And so that is not a bad thing. I think that that is actually our goal, to actually have a job where we love working so much that we could probably do it like the whole day even, and that is my life, and that seems to be what you're facing too. So that's
Yeah.
not a bad thing. So then it becomes our choice when we want to rest, rather than thinking I need to rest to rejuvenate. It's like, well, actually, what is your dream reality during the week of how you would be resting, rather than thinking, okay, I have to rest, so let me schedule it. It's more like the ideal time that you get to spend doing the leisure activities, playing games, you're spending time with loved ones, that sort of thing. So do you see how it's such a subtle difference? When you're so
Yeah.
passionate about what you're doing, you don't schedule time to rest. You schedule time because you want to have that time to yourself. It's the same thing, but different. So that's my understanding around it. You schedule it because you want that time for yourself, not because you have to rest.
Yeah, and I love that, the choice. And I think talking about relating it to success mindset, as you just, we opened the conversation by talking about knowing that you have options, that there are choices, and that is what a success mindset, I
Mm-hmm.
think, gives you, a successful life gives you, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, talking about practices, and you said that you have a practice about journaling and meditation, which keeps you grounded and which keeps you aligned. So, if you have to recommend one ritual, okay, to anybody who is trying to cultivate a success mindset, what would it be for them to do that one thing every day? Because we all know that that's somewhere, no matter how intuitive and flowing you are, you
Mm-hmm.
still, like, there are habits which create the success. So, what is that one ritual?
Well, I'm actually going to say the one of like listing the 5 things that are actually going to move you forward and asking you how can you complete them, rather than thinking I can't do this. There's an issue here. I don't have the money for that. How can I have the money for that? How can I complete this? So if there's one thing you take away from this podcast interview and you want to be in the mindset for success, write down the top 5 things that you know are going to actually move yourself forward. So let me give you an example, because some people get confused. So if I look at my list of the things that I needed to do today for my own business, there were things like show up for the podcast interviews like this one with Shivani. There was also things like show up on my Instagram story. There was another one like create this thing, or like make sure that I contact all of my new one-on-one clients, like stuff like that. So every single thing like adds up to me moving the business forward, and it can be very micro. It can be something like make sure that I send out an email, or it could be macro. It could be something like make sure that I update my bio on my Instagram. So it's just every single thing has to move you forward. Don't waste time like changing the font style of your website and trying to choose a logo. Like do things that actually get you moving forward, making money, providing value.
Yeah, and I loved how you last said, like, don't waste time in changing fonts and the
Yes.
logo of the website, because I know it took me so long, honestly, to start, because I was so fixated on I need to have this color theme, or I need to have this font, and I need to have this.
Yeah.
And after a while, I recognized, like, okay, maybe we can change this later. Like, it's not a big deal. Start.
Exactly. Yes, messy inspired action is another key to success mindset.
Yes, I love that messy inspired action. So, last thing, just what is that one thing which you recommend to your clients, or to anybody, honestly, who is like, okay, I'm new to spirituality, but I am willing to learn, and not just spirituality, also the mindset game. So, where do I start?
I guess, are you talking about manifestation and creating with intention?
Yeah, creating with intention. That's more like it.
Yeah, so where to start? We'll start with looking at your thoughts and what you're thinking. So if you're always saying things like, oh, I can never afford that, or I always fail at this, like all of those thoughts aren't actually serving you. So just start to be aware of the things that you're talking to yourself about and telling yourself about. The other thing that I would do is work on your self-love. Like when you work on your self-love, that's when you allow yourself to be a match for your goals and your desires. So there's an exercise that I learned from my mentors that is about listing down 10 things that you love about yourself every single day, but also talking about a time when it happened and a location where it happened. So that's something that I do as an everyday practice. If you want to learn more about that, there's an episode on my podcast called episode 201. I highly recommend listening to that one because it's very amazing with my own mentors. But another thing to do if you're just starting out and you want to intentionally create is you can ask the universe for a sign. So this is something I haven't really talked about for a long time, but when you realize, like when you realize you create your reality by seeing a sign from the universe, you realize that you've got the power to create anything you want. So the first thing you need to do is just ask for a sign. So I just say, dear universe, what is my sign? And when I first did this 2 years ago, I came up with Dalmatian. And I was like, oh, okay, Dalmatian, random. So it just popped into my mind. So just let it come to you. And then I said, okay, dear universe, I'm ready to receive. Let me see this Dalmatian. And 3 weeks later, it took me like 3 weeks before this happened. I went on a walk, and coming home, I stepped into my house and I saw on the television like 2 Dalmatians just flash on the screen. And that was my sign. So something I would recommend you to do is just be like, dear universe, what's my sign? Get it. It could be a bird, it could be a fly, it could be a flower, it could be just anything. And then just wait for it to come to you and realize that you created that.
Yeah, I love that. Honestly, my sign is a blue butterfly, and when it has
Beautiful.
to come, it literally just sneaks up from anywhere, be it like on my balcony or probably on my computer screen, anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I so relate to that because that's exactly what, honestly, I gave the first advice to my first client ever. I'll
Mm-hmm.
ask for a sign. And I think that is indeed the most beautiful place to start, because my spiritual journey started with actually signs.
Yes.
So, yeah, I completely love that. And yeah, I absolutely loved having this conversation with you. Where can people really find you if they want to know more about you, if they want to connect to you?
Absolutely. So, if you would like to know more about what I speak about in terms of manifestation and creating your own reality and mindset, I have my own podcast called the Kimberley Wenya podcast on Spotify and iTunes. And then, if you want to hang out with me as well, I do daily tips always on my stories. You can kind of have a peek into my life and see how I apply my own tools into my daily life. That's on Instagram at Kimberley Wenya. And then I also have a blog that's just kimberleywenya.com, and you can check out all my blogs there, any courses, any masterclasses if you want to dive in deeper.
Yes, and her blogs are definitely so inspiring. I have been reading them for a while, and
Thank you.
really are such a great peek into your life. And especially, I think the part where you said how you apply your tools to your everyday life and to cultivate the lifestyle that you have.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for doing this with me. It was such an amazing experience and such a pleasure to learn so much about all the questions which I honestly had watching you there. So, thank you so much for doing this with me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Shivani.
Wow, that was a beautiful conversation with Kimberly. If you like this podcast and have some feedback to share, please leave me a review on iTunes. For more spiritual inspiration and mindset tips, follow me at The Burfi on Instagram. As always, I'm sending you so much love on your personal growth journey and hoping to connect with you soon in my next podcast.